Nigeria was born with a promise. On October 1st, 1960, the green and white flag was raised for the first time, a symbol of freedom and a new beginning. The air was thick with hope as people danced in the streets, believing their country was destined for greatness. They dreamed of wealth, strong schools and hospitals for all. This was the vision that united millions, a giant awakening in Africa. Nigeria was young, energetic and full of potential. Its people, farmers, traders, teachers, builders, were eager to shape their own destiny. The world watched with great expectation, seeing Nigeria as a beacon for Africa. The first leaders spoke of unity and progress, promising a strong economy and a respected voice on the world stage. But even in those early days, cracks appeared. The country was made up of many ethnic groups, each with its own language and culture. Political disagreements surfaced, and unity began to feel fragile. The hope that once seemed certain faced its first tests. People wondered if the dream was strong enough to overcome the challenges ahead. The journey had just begun, but the road was already difficult. The promise of independence was real, but so were the obstacles. Nigeria's story was set, a nation striving to turn hope into reality. The dream was alive, but its future was uncertain. The dream of prosperity has faded into a harsh reality. Today, Nigeria faces its worst economic crisis in years. In 2023, the government removed the fuel subsidy, hoping for long-term gain. Overnight, petrol prices soared, and so did the cost of everything else. Food became unaffordable, transportation expensive, life a daily struggle. The naira was devalued, making people's savings nearly worthless. Food inflation climbed above 40%, basic items slipped out of reach for millions. Government aid was promised, but it was too little, reaching too few. Meanwhile, leaders spent lavishly, buying a new presidential jet while citizens went hungry. Trust in government collapsed. The gap between rich and poor widened. Millions slipped into extreme poverty. Every day became a battle for survival. Parents skipped meals for their children. Young graduates couldn't find jobs. The hope for a better life was crushed by economic hardship. The promise of a prosperous nation felt like a distant memory. The dream of comfort was replaced by constant worry. The economy is broken and it's breaking the spirit of the people. The struggle is everywhere, visible in every home and street. Nigeria's wealth is vast, but its people are suffering. The nation's potential is being wasted. The crisis is not just economic, it's a crisis of hope. The pain of the people finally spilled onto the streets. In 2024, young Nigerians organized massive protests under the banner "End Bad Governance." They were tired of hardship and corruption, demanding lower costs and a return of the fuel subsidy. The protests began peacefully, marches, songs, and hope for change, but the government responded with force. Security forces cracked down using tear gas and live bullets. Protesters were killed, many arrested, and journalists silenced. The government painted the protesters as criminals trying to crush their voices. Yet, the anger only grew. The 10 days of rage became a symbol of defiance. Even children were charged with serious crimes. Fear spread, but so did determination. The fight was no longer just about the economy, it was about dignity and the right to speak. Independence Day, once a symbol of hope, became a day of protest. The young leaders vowed to continue their struggle. The government cleared the streets, but not the spirit of the people. The cry for a better Nigeria echoed louder than ever. The protests revealed a generation unwilling to be silenced. The movement inspired hope, even in the face of violence. The world watched as Nigeria's youth demanded change. The government's response exposed deep divisions. The struggle for justice and freedom continues. The people's voices cannot be erased. The demand for a better future remains. The spirit of resistance is alive. The fight for Nigeria's soul is far from over. The cry for change is now impossible to ignore. Beyond economic struggles, violence casts a shadow over Nigeria. Armed gangs, bandits, terrorize the northwest and north central, attacking villages and kidnapping for ransom. On Christmas Day 2023, over 100 were killed in Plateau State. The violence continued into the new year. In the northeast, Boko Haram and ISWAP have waged war for over a decade, killing thousands and displacing millions. The Chibok schoolgirl's abduction shocked the world. Many are still missing. Attacks and kidnappings remain common, with hundreds abducted in a single incident in Kaduna State. In the southeast, separatist movements like IPOB clash with security forces, leading to more violence. Every region faces its own crisis. No one feels safe. Kidnapping for ransom is now a grim business. Parents fear for their children, farmers for their fields, travelers for the roads. The government seems unable to protect its citizens. Security forces are stretched thin and often outgunned. The fabric of society is torn by constant fear. Living in Nigeria has become a daily risk. The sense of safety is gone. Violence is now part of daily life. Nigeria is a nation held hostage by fear. At the heart of Nigeria's problems is a deep-rot corruption. For decades, the nation's wealth has been stolen by a powerful few. Money meant for roads, schools, and hospitals disappears into private pockets. Politicians grow rich while infrastructure crumbles. Nigerian lawmakers are among the world's highest paid, even as millions live in poverty. The public sees fuel subsidies removed, but no benefit for ordinary people. There's no transparency, no accountability. When security forces make deadly mistakes, justice is promised but never delivered. Bribes are required for jobs and contracts, funds for communities are stolen. State governors divert money meant for local development. The system benefits the few at the expense of the many. Corruption isn't just stealing money, it's stealing the nation's future. The trust between people and government is broken. As Nigeria's problems grow, the government cracks down on dissent. Journalists, activists, and citizens using social media to expose corruption are targeted. Old and new laws are used to silence critics, creating a culture of fear. In 2024, reporters were abducted and detained for exposing government wrongdoing. Social media commentators faced arrest for their posts. A proposed law threatened jail for insulting leaders, withdrawn after public outcry, but the intent was clear. Attacks on free speech go hand in hand with attacks on other rights. The Senate even tried to repeal laws protecting women from violence. The government is more interested in silencing critics than protecting its people. The right to speak out is under threat. For many Nigerians, democracy's promise remains unfulfilled. Years after military rule, hopes for better governance have faded. Most Nigerians are now dissatisfied with democracy. Elections are marred by violence and rigging. Politicians break promises and enrich themselves. The government feels distant and unaccountable. Real power lies with a small elite, not the people. Young Nigerians, educated and connected, feel especially betrayed. High unemployment and lack of opportunity fuel their frustration. Some even express support for military rule, desperate for change. The generation that should be democracy's future is now its biggest critic. Leaders have failed to show democracy can deliver a better life. As faith in the system fades, the nation's future grows uncertain. The risk of instability rises as hope declines. The promise of democracy is at a crossroads. Nigeria's next chapter depends on restoring trust. For most Nigerians, life is a daily struggle. The nation's crises are not just headlines, they're lived realities. Mothers like Aisha in Kano can barely feed their children as food prices soar. Young graduates like David in Lagos search endlessly for jobs that don't exist. Connections, not merit, decide who gets ahead. Frustration turns to despair as dreams die. Farmers like Samuel in Plateau State fear for their lives and livelihoods amid constant attacks. Every day brings anxiety and uncertainty. People feel abandoned by a government that cannot protect or provide. These are stories of resilience, but also immense suffering. Small businesses struggle, neighbors help each other, and prayers for a better day continue. The challenges are overwhelming. The daily fight for food, work, and safety is grinding people down. Joy and hope are being stolen. This is the reality for ordinary Nigerians. The struggle is everywhere. In every home, survival has replaced dreams. The nation's spirit is being tested. Nigeria's story today is one of deep disappointment. The bright promise of independence has faded into hardship and division. Older generations mourn the dream that crumbled. Young people born into crisis feel cheated of their future. They see other nations progress and wonder why Nigeria cannot. Yet amid the darkness, a flicker of hope remains. Nigeria's youth refuse to give up. They are connected, informed, and demanding change. The end. Bad governance protests showed their courage. They use social media to expose corruption and organize for a better future. They create art, music, and literature that tells their story. They are not waiting for old leaders. They are taking action themselves. Their hope is born of struggle, resilient, and defiant. The journey from hope to despair has been long, but the journey back may have just begun. A new generation is ready to write Nigeria's next chapter.